Howdy, folks. I am coming to you tonight from inside my little tent made out of a flannel blanket, which is the studio that I use for recording tent show radio now that we can't get to the studio as we normally would. And I don't know if you can see sawdust in my hair or not, but I just got done cutting a bunch of box elder trees and I'm about to head into the house for the evening. And so I thought since I've been running a chainsaw for the last couple hours, I would read a piece about why I really shouldn't be running a chainsaw, to tell you the truth. This is from Roughneck Grace. Title of the piece is called Not a Logger. I frequently invoke the logging profession as a means of calibrating my own self-perception, particularly when I'm tempted to portray myself as a bit of a rough and tumble fellow from the back 40, when in truth the closest I come to process and forest products, firewood accepted, is that moment when I break out a fresh ream of paper for my laser printer. That said, I was raised in a logging family. I can distinguish between a cant hook and a peavey. I know bar oil is not intended for use in cocktails, and given twice as much time as my brother, I can sharpen a chainsaw half as well. The key is to trim those rakers. Just enough, not too much. I know a forwarder from a skidder from a feller buncher, and my great-grandfather was a river rat, and I understand that the term widowmaker, used to describe a tree that is hung up or positioned in such a way that it poses an extreme threat to the person felling it, is not strictly euphemistic. My cousin lost her first husband in a logging accident. I was there the day a white pine log rolled over and snapped my uncle's arm. My logger brother's profession landed him in intensive care twice, once with a split skull. And as a rural first responder, I can recall all too vividly the fatal logging accidents I've worked and how it felt, especially in the case when I was the first on scene, to approach the fallen tree knowing all too well what I was about to see. It was against this background that I raised the chainsaw last week, and noticing the eye-level limb I was about to trim was bent beneath the weight of another fallen limb, paused. While I'm no lumberjack, based on background and my brother's skull, I could predict that once the limb was severed, the butt end would whip around in the manner of a swung baseball bat. Eyeballing the distance from the limb to my, eyeball, I backed off and began my cut from a position and angle well clear of the potential radius of the swing. As the saw teeth bit into the wood, I felt an amateur's unearned pride in having known enough to make this preemptive professional move. Having never been kicked in the face by an actual mule, I can't say what I felt next would in any way compare. The example is perhaps a tad dramatic and may undersell the mule. In fact, the swiftness of it really didn't allow for a lot of comparative analysis. Rather than following the radial path of a swung bat, the branch sprang straight, driving the sawn end directly into my cheekbone in the manner of a pool cue smacking a cue ball. I managed to safely shut down the saw, then lurched about, clutching my visage while uttering untoward phrases we shall politely blame on concussion effects. The next morning, when my cheekbone had scabbed over and the area below my left eye had begun its transition through the grimmer shades of the rainbow, I studied the results in the mirror and thanked my lucky spinning stars for the safety glasses I had donned just before starting the saw. In the days that followed, I found myself having to explain my redecorated face to friends and strangers alike. For humor's sake, I invoked everything from human billiards to three seconds in the ring with Ronda Rousey. I also heard a lot of grim stories reinforcing my dumb luck. In general, it has been resolved. As a logger, I make a pretty good typist and should focus mostly on handling only those trees available in the form of office supplies. Managed to get a bunch of them box elder down tonight without getting hit. That was nice. I was wearing my logger hard hat with my logger earmuffs, and then that hard hat has the screen that you can put down, which is great. It's just like the one my real logger brother wears. The problem is, and I'm sorry to end this little session this way, leave you this image, but have you ever spit and forgot that your logger face mask was down? Oh, you haven't? Well, I'll just leave you with that image. See you later. Take care of each other, be good to each other, and forward.